What's up, guys? This is the Philosophical Doomer, aka Luclinia, and um, the other night I had a dream, a good dream. In this dream, it was, I don't know, somewhere in another universe, alternate reality, where I was back. I was 18 again, and I wanted to be a real estate investor. And right when I left school, and I decided I wanted to work to save money, I ran into a guy, and he was schooling me in real estate or whatever like that, and he pretty much became my mentor, and me and him developed a relationship. And I met a bunch of friends. One of my, all this is kind of like a dream. And I met one dude. His name was Tom. Another dude named was Jerry. But we became really all like close friends, and they all kind of like poured into me and like built me up and stuff like that. And my mentor, Frank, he pretty much, me and him developed a relationship. He showed me the ropes, and I managed to save up money and buy my first house and rent it out. And along the way, I was just, saving up my money, buying houses, just saving up my money from working, buying houses, and at the beginning, it was a struggle because I was kind of breaking even at the beginning on my houses when it came to like, the expenses that came with, managing the house, and the expenses that came with managing the house, managing the property, and the people paying their rent. I was pretty much like breaking even, but like everything was like going so smooth, and it felt so good. And I met a woman along the way, and I started developing a relationship with her and stuff like that. And for the first time in my life, I actually like kissed a girl and went out on a date, and everything like that. And I was I went on we was going out on like dates and stuff like that. And I got my driver's license earlier in this point in time. This alternate reality, this dream, I got my driver's license when I was like 18 or 19, not when I was damn 23 and going on 24. And I had a car, and I would come pick her up, and we would go places, and we would have fun, and it felt so real. It felt so real. It felt so fucking real. And I did not want to leave. And eventually I stopped breaking even, and I started to make actual cash flow on my houses, and I was saving up my cash flow to eventually buy a house. And I managed to buy a house. We moved in together, and she got pregnant, and then she had a kid, and we was like starting our own family and stuff like that. And we would go over my mother's house. We would go over my mother's house, and everything was like so bliss. And my mother was cooking out and everything like that. We were in the backyard, and we were all taking pictures, me, my sister, and my niece. My niece, well, it's kind of, everything is kind of like jumbled and mixed, but in this alternate reality, my niece was already born. And so we all were there, we were all in the back, we were all taking pictures, and everything was just like so blissful. And then I woke up, and I'm like, well, damn, that was a dream. And I just had like this rush of emotion, like, damn, and usually I don't usually have dreams like that. And I thought it was so weird, because that night, I fell asleep on the voice call, the sloth voice call. I fell asleep on there, and we were on there for hours, and one of the dudes on there, I think his name is JC Alpha Chad. Me and him was having a conversation, and one of the conversations we were having was about family and stuff like that. And he was saying that he doesn't want to be alone, and he wants to have a girlfriend or a wife. He want to have kids, so he's able to look back on it and say, like, this is what I left the world. This is what I created. I left a part of me of the world before I departed it. And it's kind of weird, after since we were having that conversation, like, all of a sudden, I have a dream like this. I never had a dream like that before. And it's not that I don't feel like lonely or anything like that, or I don't like crave companionship, but I think for me, it's more of the idea of the reason why I had that dream is more of the idea of accomplishing that, as a milestone in a man's life, accomplishing, getting a woman, and having a kid, starting a family. That milestone is a very, very important milestone, and would be a very, very important milestone in a man's life. And I think that's what it is. And I've always been like ambitious, very, very ambitious. Always, like, when I was younger, I always imagined myself as this, like, being this successful businessman that was respected by his community, respected and liked by everybody around him, and had multiple different friends, built multiple different connections, and had multiple different experiences. I'm saying, that bettered myself and then bettered people around me. And this dream was very, very touching. This dream was very touching. And I just kind of wish now, like, my life was like that, but it isn't. And I'm not kind of like depressed or like sad about it, but it's just kind of like, damn, like, what if in an alternate reality or an alternate universe, another me lived life like that? It's just kind of, it's thought provoking. And like I said before, I'm not like lonely or like sad or anything like that, but I think it's that kind of that burning desire in me, that need to accomplish things. And I always had that. I always had that desire to accomplish things, and I think that's why I always like loved history. I always read about the great conquerors like Alexander the Great, or Attila the Hun, or Cannibal of Carthage, or Caesar of Rome, or Genghis Khan. All these great men, they probably weren't good men, but they were great men. They were remembered throughout history for the various different accomplishments that they made in their life. Like Alexander the Great said, when he was in the movie Alexander, when he was on the roof with his best friend and his slash lover Hephaestion, and he was talking about how he wanted to expand his empire, how he wanted to not really even expand the empire, but wanted to he pretty much wanted to explore the world. He wanted to travel the world. He wanted to meet various different people. He wanted to give them, he wanted them to learn their ways, and he wanted to learn, he wanted those other people to learn, the Macedonian or Greek ways, and he wanted to learn their ways. He wanted to be a cultural exchange of different ideas. And Hephaestion was telling them on the rooftop that like these like heroes like Hercules and other heroes in Greek myth like Achilles, that they, like, these men are great men and they will be remembered all throughout time. But these men, they paid dearly. They suffered. They paid a great price for their accomplishments or their achievements. And Alexander the Great said, all men suffer. I suffer, you suffer, our fathers suffered, our grandfathers suffered, and in the end, all that matters is what you have done. And that's always been the thing with me. It's like, what have I done? I managed to, I'm going to get my degree. I only got like one more class, and then I managed to get my emissions and my inspection license. I have my driver's license, even though I still have to work on my driving, but I feel like I should be so much further in life. And I do remember when I used to be, and other dudes talk about it too, and I feel kind of like the same way. Like you might see somebody who's like younger than you. Like I've seen people who were in younger grades than me have a car and they drive around, and they got like a little girl, like a shorty, in the other seat, and I'm like, damn, like, and you feel so like left behind, and you feel so left behind, and you kind of feel like you only have yourself to blame, and in some sense you do, because in my case I passed up on some potential opportunities, and you just never know, because I might have taken up those opportunities and still wound up in the same position I'm in right now. But I believed, like I was saying to Sloth and to other people, that I spent too much time in my early 20s being like depressed. I spent too much time in my early 20s like being down on myself, and being depressed, because in your head you have this idea of who you are, but like when you actually get out into the real world and you start working on these jobs, and you kind of gauge what you're capable of, or what you need to work on, or what you need to get better at, and you actually see where you actually are when it comes to the social hierarchy or being in society, and it just kind of makes you depressed. And like I spent like damn 3 or 4 years kind of like fighting that, fighting that depression, kind of like fighting, like being down on myself, and kind of trying to deal with the realization of being a loser, losing that life, being on the bottom of the totem pole, the realization that you might not accomplish anything, or you might not accomplish much. And when I was younger, when I was like 18 or 19, even younger than that, I thought I was going to accomplish so much, and I still do got time. I'm only 27 years old, and I do have future plans and stuff like that, and I am very hopeful, and I'm looking forward to doing that and to doing them. And but like I still have these and I think a part of where this dream or this alternate reality I was dreaming about is coming from my delusions of having a successful business, having a successful business, and being a man of great importance, of great respect, being revered by my community. I always wanted that. I always wanted that respect, that acceptance from other people. That's what I always wanted. I didn't want necessarily like love or necessarily like a relationship. I have like feelings like here and there or whatever like that, but it's not like something I'm constantly thinking about like every single day. Like every single day, and it's just fucking like torment or whatever like that. But I do have those feelings like here and there, but it's not as tense as other dudes are going. It's not as intense as what other dudes are going through. And that dream, like after I had that dream, like I just like sat in my bed and I just was like pondering, like, wow, like imagine having a life like that. And then you're comparing it to this one, and then you see how far you are, not even necessarily far behind, but some of the things that you were just kind of like missing out on in life, and it can't necessarily I don't think it can necessarily be helped. Yeah, I don't think it could be necessarily helped. I don't think it could be necessarily helped, but that dream, like within that dream, like just having, like, I had my small real estate business going. I had a house. I had the girl, I had the kid, it's like I felt like an accomplished man. I felt like an accomplished man. Like it was like this great sense of accomplishment. And like during it, like in the dream, in the alternate reality, when I brought my kid and my wife over to my mother's house, I could see like the pride in her eyes, like, wow, like look at my son, look at my boy, look at what I created and look at what he created. And it's just like it was this great nostalgic feeling. And it's like you wake up to the life you're living now, and you come to the realization that you will never be able to get all of those things. And if you do get those things, you're probably not going to get them the way you want to get them. And if you don't get them the way you want to get them, what is the point of even having them? And also the realization that like you will never be able to put like a look like that on your mother's face. That proud look, that look at my boy, look at my son. Right? And I don't mean for this to be a depressing video. I mean for this to be a video of self-reflection, of curiosity, of deep thought, of the possibility of another of an alternate universe where I have all those things, where I have those connections, I have those friendships. Everything's working smoothly, everything's going great, and you're able to look at all the things, all of your accomplishments, and you look at them and you say, this is what I've done. And you feel fulfilled. You feel like if you was to go today or tomorrow, you would have no regrets, you would have no worries. And pretty much that's all I wanted to say.